Well, let's now talk about the cameras of Nothing Phone 4a Pro. The cameras of Nothing Phone 4a Pro have been the main selling point of their whole marketing. Even during our briefing, they mentioned a lot about the cameras of this phone. They have made a lot of good improvements this year, I had to say. So, this camera setup includes a 50 megapixel main sensor, still that old 8 megapixel ultra wide sensor, and that beautiful 50 megapixel 3.5x telephoto sensor. And I'll be addressing each of them separately in this video. So let's start with the main sensor. That 50 megapixel main sensor is a Sony sensor. I'll put up the details right here. It's Sony LYD700 for as I know. But what matters more is the image quality, and it's great here. Everything from the colors to saturation to dynamic range, everything feels really natural and good. Even the skin tones are really good. It's so well balanced. Nothing actually has come a long way. I remember back then when phone 2 initially launched, and it had some terrible optimization, I'd say. Like the colors were off as such. And that was to be expected. They were a young company, they still are, but they are a lot younger before, and they had a small user base, so they didn't know how to optimize it properly as according to user base. But now that they have the time to set in and understand their users, they have made some stride improvements, I'd say, and improved the cameras a lot. And I feel like they have finally cracked the code with phone 4a Pro. They already kind of did it with phone 3. If you remember back then, it also had a terrific camera setup, a 50 megapixel main ultra wide and telephoto. But I feel like that phone 4a Pro improved on phone 3's camera by introducing the main sensor as Sony sensor, and we generally prefer Sony over Samsung because the sensor has a better quality in terms of details and color balance. The ultra wide is also a Sony sensor, but it has some negatives that I'd like to address. Now let's move on to the ultra wide. Let's address the elephant in the room. I'm sitting here. The ultra wide is pretty terrible. Yeah, it's a Sony sensor, and that is why the colors and as such are really good. But at the end of the day, it's an 8 megapixel sensor. You can do so much with it. So that's why the details are abysmal, I'd say. Even with ample light conditions, the details doesn't come out well, and we need to move past this 8 megapixel debacle. At least give us 12 megapixel sensor so that we can actually use it to record 4K. Yeah, I think that's a missed opportunity because, like, when making vlogs, we would generally use ultra wide to capture the most out of a shot. And when I went to my trip to Mayapur, which I'll mention later in this video in the video section, um, I had a lot of trouble there with the ultra wide. So I have to say, at the end of the day, it is serviceable, but you can use it, but yeah, it's not a, at the end of the day, it is a pretty terrible sensor. What is good, on the contrary, is that beautiful 3.5x telephoto sensor. Oh my god, nothing cooked here, honestly. The 3.5x telephoto sensor can zoom out to really far distance, so far object comes out really sharp, and that has been clearly the focus of this camera. Given that they're providing 140x zoom with this phone, which I'll be talking about a bit later, but I'd like to talk more about this sensor itself. It captures great tone, great dynamic range, and the skin tones have been definitely better than my initial testing of phone 4a. The skin tones were coming out a bit bad in my opinion, so I gave them the honest feedback about the phone 4a when I had that device. So, and they seem to have listened to that and absolutely cooked with the skin tones of phone 4a Pro. I like to see this type of improvements made in consumer tech when the brand actually listens to the consumers, actually listens to our words and improve upon their products, because at the end of the day, we are the one who's buying with our hard-earned money and we deserve better. And I didn't talk about the bokeh effects even, bro. The 3.5x telephotos bokeh effects are magnificent, even without the portrait mode. I love it. I love every single part of it. I have been yapping a lot about this 3.5x telephoto sensor, and it deserves that. And don't worry, I'll be yapping a lot more. One thing I was worried about this 3.5x telephoto sensor though is that when they took away the ability to capture macro with this, and after my testings, I think my worry was justified. I'm a bit disappointed with this, I'll be honest. In ample lighting, the macro shots comes out great, but it can go so far without compromising in quality. One of the biggest hurdles this camera setup faces is its macro quality. So this phone's telephoto sensor houses a W-shaped tetraprism lens which cannot focus on closer shots, and that's why they have developed a system. So when we get near enough to an object, it will automatically switch to the main sensor and crop down to 3.5x to focus on that better. But it has its obvious downsides, like we are cropping the main sensor to get a little bit more details to for the macros, and the macros frankly were better in phone 3 anyways. Why am I comparing to phone 3? Because it was the last smartphone, and as far as I know, 3 and 3a pro had the same type of L shape uh, telephoto lens, and that captured better macro shots. So that is my main complaint with this 3.5x telephoto lens is the macros. As I was saying, phone 3a pro, which I didn't test, had the same type of macro capabilities, and compared to that, it is definitely a downgrade in this area. And also, I'd like to talk about one another negative thing about this camera is that 140x zoom thing. It's a gimmick. Let's be honest right here. When you capture 140x shots from this phone 4a Pro, the shots come out terrible. And I was thinking about this feature. Who needs 140x zoom? Like, let's wind down a bit here. Why would you use 140x zoom for? Capture faraway objects? But that is possible with 50x or 70x. Honestly, I couldn't come up with an answer for this apart from creeps. I don't want to be a creep. Do you want to be a creep? No, of course, I hope not. But if you are, I have to. Anyways, never mind. Still, it is an unnecessary thing that they have given. I think the resources can be used in a better place next time around. So that was my TED talk. I have a controversial opinion. I think 70x zoom is the maximum we should go. We shouldn't chase this. Oh, 140x zoom. Oh, 200x zoom. Oh, 300x zoom. We don't need that. We frankly do not need that. Alright, let's now talk about video. The main reason I went to that Mayapur trip I was talking about. I have captured a lot of videos using this phone, and I can say a lot about it. By the way, the vlog from Mayapur would come out in the next week, so be ready for that. But I'll link down all my footages and captures in Google Drive. Overall, the video quality seems really good. I mostly captured with 4K 30 to keep in mind. And by the way, funnily enough, on my way returning from the Mayapur trip, they pushed an update to enable 4K 60 fps for main and ultra wide sensor. So I didn't have the opportunity to use 4K 60 fps. This was way too funny, and this happens with me a lot for some reason. I don't know why. Like, I'd make my entire testing out of a feature, and I'd make my whole points, and they'd go ahead and push an update to fix those and address those points. What can I say? So most of the footage I recorded is in 4K 30 fps, but I'd sprinkle in some 4K 60 fps that I captured right now in this phone. The quality seems really good at 4K 30 fps, but I do have some complaints. First of all, The Android problem. It's not specific to nothing, but I'd love to see it addressed in Android 18 or later. The storages in smartphones are getting faster, right? We are making great stride. UFS 4.0, UFS 5.0, etc., etc. Yeah. And I don't know why we are still limiting our camera like this. What do you mean? The infamous rolling shutter problem in Android. When you pan your camera in any settings, like in 4K 30, 4K 60, 1080p 60, 1080p 30, you'd be able to see this weird jelly like effect in every single footage, and that is because of the way Android live writes into the storage in real time. If we compared an Android's video to an iPhone, you'd often see that Android's video is more jelly like and worse. For some reason, the iPhone would feel a lot more stable, and that is because Apple has optimized their iPhones to capture better videos with less jelly like, because they can write into the storage faster. It is all stacked down because they control the chip, they control the OS, they control the cameras. And so I'd like to see this improvement made in Android as why we should suffer through this still. Surely Google collaborate with MediaTek and Qualcomm to improve this thing. And I'm pretty sure this is because of some old legacy code that we should update ASAP. So that is the complaint number one. And the number two is specific to nothing. And if you guess the ultra wide, ding 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 ding, you are right. Anyway, it's 2026. Come on, guys. We can do a lot better than 8 megapixel ultra wide. It's an expensive smartphone. It is priced at 56K nowadays. And even at the launch price, it was at 40K. We could do better than 8 megapixel ultra wide. Please, for the next phone you guys launch, give us at least 12 megapixel of ultra wide in the A series, specifically in the A series, so that we can at least record in 4K. You know how much problem I had recording in 4K 30 while I could only switch between my main and telephoto sensors seamlessly. Oh yeah, by the way, we can seamlessly switch up to 4K 30. I'll talk about it a bit later. All right, this that will be my third problem. Mm, So if we had the ability to record 4K 30, at least 4K 30 in our ultra wide, the vlog would have been much easier to make for me because I would be able to capture more stuff which vloggers generally use ultra wide to capture more of the footage. But when I had to use the ultra wide to capture some of the shots that I wanted to capture, I had to manually go ahead and switch to 1080p 30 fps, which felt a bit too rugged and archaic. So I'd like to see that addressed in the future. Now comes the third problem. Another thing I'd like to see addressed is the switching between ultra wide and main telephoto in 60 fps mode specifically. Like, what the hell? I guess I can understand you guys not being able to implement it in 4K 30, 4K 60 fps. That is, I guess, limited by the processor itself, but it should be able to do in 1080p 60 fps, right? Because phone 3 was able to do that, and it's evidently the processor is fast enough to do that, right? Because I feel like that lens switching in 30 fps modes is a bit too jarring. It's like that. I don't know what noise I made. You will be able to feel some of those jittery things that I had said in the video itself, but in, like, hypothetically in 1080p 60 fps most of those jitter would go away, I feel like. So that was my third complaint, but it's not all like prickly roses as such. Don't worry, the video quality itself is really good. The The dynamic range comes up great. The colors, the saturation, the vibrance, the details, everything is spot on, and I love it. And I was reviewing some of the footages from my trip to Mayapur, and the shots look genuinely beautiful. I loved every single part of it. Even the photos were good, and I've already talked about the photos. But one thing I didn't talk about is the front camera. Yeah, I'm reading the script of this, by the way. It's a 32 megapixel selfie camera, and which renders out great shots with great skin tones, colors, dynamic range, etc. And it is the shots come out very similar to the back cameras. So I'd say the sensor to sensor consistency is good there. Apart from the ultrawide's details are horrible again. But yeah, and it is wide enough to capture group shots. But there again, it has the same problem. It is a 32 megapixel sensor, right? Why it can't capture 4K? I'd like to know that, by the way, because as far as I know, only phone 3's camera can capture 4K at front. Why can't we do that with the back? It's a 13 megapixel camera. It should be able to do that unless it is beamed down to 8 megapixel, for which I understand. Okay, it's not possible then, but I'd like to see that addressed by the brand itself. So I don't see why we can't be able to record in 4K. I hope you guys can address that in the future, because I'd love to record in the front camera, because as vloggers, so it will be easier for us to record, right? Also, while you're at it, can you add the switching between front and back while on video recording seamlessly, as we can do with Samsung's? That would be a great feature, honestly. But other than that, the footages seems really good in the video as well. It captures at 1080p 30 and 1080p 60 fps, and both of them are well enough and serviceable. Overall, it seems like I have complained a lot, but these are all constructive criticism, because I'd like to see this camera improve in future. But overall, I am really impressed by this camera. The details it captures, the videos it captures were magnificent. I was genuinely blown away in some of the shots. And if the guys can make right improvements at the right time, it has potential to be one of the best camera in this budget. Yeah, I said it. It has the potential. With how RAM prices are going up, I think it has a good shot. Kudos to nothing for the cameras this time around, and I hope that they can take my constructive criticism and make a better system next time in the future. Do you think I won't talk about the portrait mode? You guessed wrong. Let's get into the portrait mode, because they cooked. They absolutely cooked it. They honestly improved the portrait mode so well. They have seemed to improve the algorithm behind the portrait mode so that the edge detection is much better, especially at 3.5x telephoto sensor. The edge detection this time around is much better, and where it misses, it's often negligible. See some portrait mode examples for yourself. Color, the skin tones, the background, everything is so well done, honestly. The bokeh looks so natural as well, and of course you can adjust on your own, but the default settings were good enough for me most of the time. All right, that's enough glazing. Yeah, I'm giving this camera 8.5 out of 10. To be fair, this camera is definitely carried by that sweet 3.5x telephoto sensor. But that's enough glazing, because I have glazed it enough, let's just say. Now let's conclude this video right now, okay? Because it hurts staying right here. Okay, let's now finally conclude this review. I liked a lot of aspect about this phone. It feels like that nothing has learned from their mistakes and genuinely improved upon their product. And we love to see that, honestly. Like all around these features, everything from design to display to camera to battery to performance, everything feels a lot more better than the previous generation, and we love to see that. And I'm saying this right now, had the price didn't increase, I wouldn't even hesitate recommending this phone in this budget. But let's now address the elephant in the room. Hi elephant, the price increase. We as an industry are going through something I'd like to call the Great Depression. These RAM prices keep going up and up, and it doesn't seem that it will go down anytime soon. And that is because all these RAM chip manufacturers keep selling their RAM to AI data centers, thus leaving us consumers empty-handed. I hope we can see the light at the end of the tunnel, but honestly, I won't get my hopes up right now. As for the price for Phone 4a Pro, there are better phones in this budget. If you want a better battery or a better performance, there are phones like OnePlus 15R. But right now, if you want to have an all-around great phone with great performance, great battery, great display, great design, and great cameras, this phone might be the shot for you. And I'd say right now, if you care about the price, I would honestly wait for a sale. But if you don't care about the price and you just want an all-around great phone, you can buy this phone. Honestly, I really like this, but these prices are terrible right now. Yeah, that was all I had to say, all my opinion. So let's conclude this video because my camera storage is running out and I need to export this right now. Anyway, if you'd like this video, be sure to like, share and subscribe, and do let me know in the comment section if you have any question regarding this phone or the videos regarding this phone. Definitely let me know in the comments. I'll see you guys next time around. Until then, I'm signing off. Bye.